All right, let's go. New York Giants, 3-14 last year, finished last in the NFC East. And FanDuel has their over-under at 5.5. We got Russell Wilson coming in as the starter, Jaxson Dart as a first-rounder, Jameis Winston.
The most fun quarterback room in all of football.
In history. Jameis Winston giving the speeches. Got Malik Neighbors in year 2 here. What are you expecting from the Giants?
I don't know. I'm curious to see how this is going to go. The Giants are a pretty interesting team, top to bottom. Like, they've got some very intriguing players. That draft class they had a year ago has the potential to be something pretty special. Malik Neighbors looks fantastic. You know, numbers would have been even more impressive if he hadn't missed a couple of games with that concussion. But all the way, like, top to bottom, like that group, Theo Johnson looks like a very useful tight end. Tyrone Tracy was spectacular. He now gets to share a backfield with Skattebo. Even on defense, you know, you had Tyler Nubin. I think is going to be a very, very good safety as well. Andrew Phillips was pretty spectacular in the slot. That every single pick they made last year might be a positive influence on this roster. I don't know what you're going to get with the quarterback play. I still have concerns about the offensive line. But the big question for me is, like, what is the plan at quarterback heading into the season? You know, what is the sort of long-term strategy with that trio? How do you want to play this, assuming that one guy is not going to play all 17 games, which I think is a fair assumption heading into the year? What is the plan? And then are they willing to stick to the plan when inevitably that gets challenged during the year?
And as we've discussed, usually you have this new quarterback with a new GM and a new head coach, and they're going to grow together. No, we've got year 4 of Joe Shane. We have year 4 of Brian Daboll. So where does that go? Do they have job security beyond this year?
Right.
What are the goals for the team? Like, if you're the Maras, are you saying, look, this playoffs are bust, or you're out of here, show signs of life, don't win 3 games again, you know, win 6? And then Jaxson Dart's going to save us in 2026. It's a really difficult dynamic because I think the roster's moving in the right direction. As I've said many times before, when I'm interviewing for this job at the end of this year, for the Giants job, I'll feel pretty good about the nucleus that they've left, especially on the defensive line. I think they might have the best defensive line in the NFC East. That means better than the Eagles. That means better than the Cowboys. I think that's true. I think there's a good nucleus here. But I think with Russ at quarterback, you mentioned questions at offensive line, questions with playmakers beyond Malik Neighbors. I don't know how many wins you can actually expect. And then based off last year's winning percentage, if you want to use that, they have the toughest schedule in the NFL. I think the East is going to be really difficult and competitive. I don't know how many wins you can actually expect from the Giants.
Based off.
Even though I think everything is moving in the right direction. Under Joe Shane here, I think he's dipped and then he's coming out of it. I just don't know if it's going to be enough, you know, to win games this year.
Yeah, based off the strength of schedule for forecasted wins, like projected wins for all these teams, they have the hardest schedule in the NFL, which feels wrong. The Giants, they weren't good a year ago. They're not expected to be particularly good this year.
Got a last place schedule.
Why do the Giants have the hardest schedule in football?
Part of it's you've got the Super Bowl champion Eagles. You got the
like
Commanders.
The computer is breaking down here. This is a bad output.
They're playing the AFC West, right? Aren't they playing the West this year? All those teams are going to be tough.
Yeah. They've been hard done by here. The Giants should not have the hardest schedule in the NFL. That's a breakdown in the system.
So, yeah, that's the thing. It's going to be a challenging season for the Giants. I don't know. I mean, Russ was okay at points last year, but I think at this time of his career, I don't think he's carrying the team or anything, right? He got capped at some point, and that was with the Steelers last year. Can he just feed Malik Neighbors to the point where, you know, you're going to upset some teams? Because that could be a special connection. Russ can still throw it down the field, and Neighbors can win everywhere.
But the other thing is,
that's what you're banking on.
Stylistically, these quarterbacks are radically different. Like, you would imagine if the top 3 guys play this year in Wilson, Jaxson Dart, Jameis Winston, in whatever order, the offense will look different, very different for each of them, which is not, I mean, that's kind of weird dynamic as well. So you've got this Wilson starts, you've got whatever that offense is going to be with Russell Wilson at the helm, and then you've got, okay, if and when we have to make a change because Wilson is playing his way to the bench or we're just not winning as many games and we're under pressure, which guy do we pitch the ball to, and what does the offense look like with either one of those guys out there?
So, yeah, that's where I'm struggling. And the offensive line, I mean, it's been an issue for years. Andrew Thomas has settled in as a really good left tackle, but he's been banged up and even banged up here early in camp. John Michael Schmitz has struggled at center. He's heading into year 3. That's the time when you want to see signs of life from a center, from an offensive lineman. Evan Neal struggled mightily at right tackle.
Yeah.
They're going to try him at guard. I think there's parts of his game that do translate well to guard from a power perspective, so maybe there's something to salvage there. And
the entire interior might still be a big problem.
yeah, so there's still question marks on the offensive line, another year running. And as I've said this before too, like if you were just ranking the quarterback room and what your expected output is this year, you're not going to put it in the top 20, I don't think. Is there a world where Russ plays top 12 to 15 ball? Absolutely. And I think that's the thing that maybe that's the biggest wild card here. Russ plays like a top 12 quarterback, possible, even though he's getting older. And the D-line is as good as advertised. That's where having Dexter Lawrence segment, let's talk about how good he is. Having Dexter Lawrence, though, and then the trio of pass rushers, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter coming in, they can get after the quarterback. And so those are the wild cards, I think. And some of the other additions on the defense for the Giants, those are the things that I think could make them really competitive, and maybe they, maybe they outperform the expectations. Hey guys, real quick, only 40% of our viewers are actually subscribed, so let's change that. Hit that subscribe button, and now let's get back to the action.
Yeah, it's possible. The offense, I think, is the big question. I actually think the defense will be pretty good. That defensive line, as you said, could be incredibly good. The players on the back seven, though, I think are pretty solid as well. The Bobby Okereke at linebacker is a good player. Andrew Phillips, as we said, already showed a lot as a slot. As a rookie, Tyler Nubin, Javon Holland, that's a really nice safety duo as well. They bring in Paulson Adebo at corner. Deontay Banks, I think, is still salvageable in this scheme. So I think the defense could and should be pretty solid. I just worry that offensive line combined with what they're going to get at quarterback is enough that the offense will remain kind of bogged down. And also, as special as Malik Neighbors looks like he might be, this outside of him is still pretty. I mean, he's a one-man band really at wide receiver for them.
He is. I mean, they brought back Darius Slayton, it was a very weak free agent wide receiver group. We said, hey, Darius Slayton would be a nice deep threat type of number 3 for other teams. Is he going to settle in as the 2 again opposite Malik Neighbors? He is a good vertical threat. Wan'Dale Robinson's okay in the slot. They haven't really gotten what they were hoping from Jalen Hyatt on the outside. So yeah, how many games? Like there was many games where I think they did a good job of feeding Malik Neighbors. We say this a lot. When you've got this great playmaker, get the ball into his hands. They did that well last year. But he was banged up. He looked exhausted in multiple games because they kept feeding him. It's like, really? Again? And they everywhere. Screens, shallow crosses, intermediate routes, down the field. You can't keep throwing it to them nonstop. They need some other complementary pieces. I like what Theo Johnson was doing before he got hurt as a rookie tight end. So some wild cards here for the Giants. I definitely have the same concerns about the offensive line, especially if Andrew Thomas is hurt. And I just don't overall trust Russ at this point in his career. Defensive line-wise, though, I think they can be special. I think this is top 3 defensive line potential. The defensive tackles next to Dexter Lawrence, not great as far as track record goes. Roy Robertson Harris, he's been paid a bunch over the last couple of years. He's okay, but he's got some length. And Darius Alexander, early 3rd rounder, like him a lot coming out of Toledo. So they're young. I think they're going to be it's going to be a good unit. I can't wait to see what they do with Abdul Carter because they have Burns and Thibodeau on the edge. You can move Abdul Carter around, who did play linebacker at Penn State before converting last year. So I think that's the place where they can have some success and make things difficult on opponents.
Yeah. Abdul Carter could be amazing right out of the gate. I mean, he's getting rave reviews in camp. Remember, part of what made him such an exciting and enticing prospect is, as good as he was a year ago, that was basically his first year at that position. And the curve within the year was pretty impressive. So if that curve continues to go up as he transitions in the NFL, you could be talking about one of those special defensive player of the year caliber edge rushers.
And it's enough to impact. I mean, if he's that good with the other pieces that they have, I mean, that's a difference maker.
Oh,
Difference maker, like to the outcome of the season for the Giants.
Particularly if they're able to line him up a little bit more, alongside Dexter Lawrence. Like, it's tougher to do the combination of interior and edge rusher pressure because Lawrence is so nose tackle specific as opposed to just a 3-tech on the same side as an edge rusher. But imagine having to contend with, an Abdul Carter who is amazing and Dexter Lawrence on the same side of the line.
The other difference maker, Cam Skattebo.
Yes.
Coming in to complement Tyrone Tracy at running back. Last thing on the Giants.
That's not really a joke, by the way. Like
Skattebo I love him. I think he's fantastic. I think he's gonna have a very good NFL career, despite whatever his top end speed is.
Exactly. If Skattebo came in and was immediately one of the 4 most productive running backs in football this year, it would not be the slightest bit surprising.
4? One of the 4 most productive?
Right.
Behind that line, even Saquon couldn't do that with this offensive line.
If you finish the season and Skattebo ranked 4th in rushing yardage this year, would it blow your mind?
I mean, I'm as big a Skattebo fan as it gets. I think I'd be a little surprised.
I could easily imagine, like, his style is so conducive to just being a very, very good NFL football player immediately. It wouldn't shock me at all. I mean, James Cook, Kyron Williams, DeAndre Swift in 2023. That was 2, 3, 4. Last year, it was Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, and then Jahmyr Gibbs. I could see him putting himself in that category.
I like it. You've been more aggressive than even me with Skattebo.
You learned nothing. It's all about aggressive take.
Let's wrap it up with Jaxson Dart discussion. Expectations. Where do you think when and if does he play?
Yeah.
As I've said a few times, if they're 2-8, if they're 2-6 with Russ at quarterback, do you put Dart in there? Is that the save your job, put him out there? Like what happens with this whole dynamic? Because I think it'd be great if they could sit him for a year, but we'll see.
I agree. If it was me, I would not want to play him year 1. I think he would benefit from a year on the sideline, adjusting to the NFL, adjusting to the scheme that he's going to have to be running, or even just the style of scheme that he's going to have to be running. And next year is his year. Number 1, I don't know if that's even their plan or if they're perfectly comfortable putting him out there halfway through the season. And number 2, I don't know if that was their plan, would they stick to it if and when it's October and they've only won 1 game. So I think we see him. I would be surprised if we did not see Jaxson Dart before November.
All right, man. Over-under is 5.5 here. Where are you going for the Giants?
Let's go over 5.5.
I think I'm going to say under just because of the schedule. As positive as I've been about the young nucleus and where they are, I still think there's enough holes. But if Russ is healthy and plays the whole season, it's going to be tough for him to go under. That's another difficult one. I'll say under, though. Somebody's got to go under.
Somebody's got to go. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
Check the Mic is live every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so be sure to hit this subscribe button so you don't miss a thing.
The all-knowing algorithm is convinced that you'll like these videos as well, and frankly, who are we to argue?